Welcome to Smalltalk Daily for Thursday, July 1st, 2010. This morning I wanted to cover store replication, meaning the ability to take code that's sitting in one repository and recursively replicate the entire package and all of its versions down to a different repository. This can be quite useful when you're working on a project and the repository of record is somewhere remote from you that's a little painful maybe to work with. So you want to do most of your work locally, but then keep everything in sync. And you can do this on a one-off basis, or you can set up a process that will run periodically and keep everything in sync. Show you what I'm talking about. Let's say I have this package here in the public store repository, has all these versions, and I'd like to replicate that down to my local repository. First thing you need to do is go to the parcel manager, and once you've loaded store, go to version control and load store for Glorp Replication UI. It's a little different in VisualWorks 7.6, and earlier there's something called store for Glorp VW UI, and the class names are a little different. But you can basically figure that out. Once you've got that loaded, what you need to do is you need to go to this class, Store Auto Replicator, and you can actually see how to do things by looking at the examples. You create a new replicator, add a rule, and the rules are here in the example. So I can go to Replicator Rule and look at the examples there, so I can see that I have a name, whether it's a bundle, whether it's primary, whether it's secondary, and you can set these up by reading from a little stream, and the stream just has things like this. So you can set up a rule that looks like this. It's a package, the name of it's here, from this repository to that repository. So you set up your rule structure, and then you go ahead and you replicate from one repository to the next. And then, using the replicator, again, what I'm telling you is that you can do a couple of different things. If I look at example 1, I can do a one-off replication. If I look at example 2, I can start periodic replication, tell it how often to do, and it'll keep things in sync in the direction that I specified. So you can do this any way you want. If you're working on a project on a regular basis, you may want to set up periodic replication. I'm just going to do a one-off example. So the way I'm going to do this is set up a new replicator, give it a rule, and then add the rule to my replicator and tell it to replicate everything. So let's go ahead and do that. And these names that it's using, by the way, CenCom, Smalltalk, and Local, these are as I see here in my list of store repositories. So those are logical names. I don't have to give it usernames and passwords because everything's embedded in that. So if I were to go here to this, you see that I left click, I have local, I have poo, I have CenCom Smalltalk. That's why I didn't need to hand it any of that information. It's all embedded here in my repository manager where I have these things set up. So I have my username here and then the password's embedded wherever it is. So I didn't have to hand it that information. Now, if I disconnect from this repository and connect to local, and I browse, you'll see that it's got my package in it. So let's go to network, and you see there it is. And you notice that it's got the exact same versions I saw before, even using this username that doesn't exist in this local repository. It replicated everything down so that I can tell where it came from and how it got here, so that if I were to add a new version here and then replicate it in the other direction, I could keep track of what I was doing. This way I don't lose version history. Everything stays in sync, and I can keep things neat. So that's about it for today. Until next time, have fun with Smalltalk.